For centuries, humanity had been a joke in the eyes of the universe. The mighty alien civilizations spread across the stars had looked down on Earth and its people with disdain. Earth, a small blue planet, tucked away in a quiet corner of the galaxy, was considered unworthy of attention. The aliens saw humans as primitive, unimportant, and far too weak to ever pose a threat. The idea that Earth's people might one day challenge their power was laughable. Humans had long dreamed of being part of the great intergalactic community, but their dreams seemed foolish. The aliens mocked them, calling them infant species, children of the stars, and worse. The humans could do little more than stare up at the vast sky, wishing for a chance to prove themselves. But each time they tried to reach out, they were met with rejection and ridicule. The first time humans made contact with an alien species was a disaster. The aliens barely even acknowledged their existence. They spoke to humans as if they were little more than insects, barely worthy of a glance. The humans offered their greetings, their ideas, their dreams of peaceful coexistence, but all they received in return were cold, dismissive gestures. The aliens laughed at their efforts, telling them that peace was not for the weak, and that only the strongest would survive in the universe. But the insults didn't stop there. Every time humans attempted to make advancements, whether in science, technology, or diplomacy, they were met with ridicule. The aliens considered their technology outdated, their ideas laughable. To them, humans were nothing more than a footnote in the history of the galaxy. There was no hope for them to ever catch up, let alone stand on equal ground with the other civilizations. It wasn't just the advanced aliens that mocked humanity. The lesser species, those that existed in the shadows of the universe, also took pleasure in belittling the humans. They made jokes about Earth's small, fragile planet, about the way humans fought wars, about their endless struggles with their own survival. "Why should we worry about humans?" one alien would say. "They can barely handle their own world. How could they ever hope to conquer space?" As the years passed, the insults only grew more frequent. The aliens held meetings in their grand citadels, discussing Earth's future with cold indifference. Some said that humans were too violent, too unpredictable. Others simply saw them as a curiosity, a species too weak to ever become a true power in the galaxy. The aliens were content in their superiority, certain that Earth would never rise to challenge them. And yet, despite the mockery and scorn, humanity never gave up. It wasn't that they didn't feel the weight of the insults. Every mocking comment, every dismissive gesture, stung. But there was something deep within the human spirit that refused to accept their place as the galaxy's joke. They were determined to prove everyone wrong. The human leaders, those who had been quietly watching the stars, began to see the potential that others didn't. They knew that Earth had something the aliens didn't understand, an unyielding will to survive. No matter how many times humanity had been knocked down, they kept getting up. They learned from their mistakes, adapted, and kept pushing forward. They began to realize that the alien civilizations had made a critical mistake. They had underestimated humanity. The human scientists worked in secret, developing technology that could rival anything the aliens had ever seen. They knew that their only chance to earn respect in the universe was to show the aliens that they were not weak, that they were not helpless. The ridicule they had suffered for so long would be their driving force. The aliens may have laughed at them, but humanity was about to make them regret every word. It was in the quietest moments that humanity found their greatest strength. As they watched the stars, as they studied the technology they had so long been denied, they began to believe in themselves. They had been mocked, but they were far from defeated. They were stronger than the aliens could ever imagine. The war that was about to begin would be the true test of their strength. But the aliens, so sure of their own superiority, had no idea what was coming. They had spent so long mocking humanity, laughing at them, that they never once considered the possibility that humans could rise up and fight back. As the sun set on Earth, the humans made a vow. They would no longer be the joke of the galaxy. They would fight for their place, and they would show the universe the true power of humanity. The ridicule had gone on for so long, and humanity had endured enough. The whispers of the alien civilizations, Those who once dismissed humans as nothing more than an insignificant speck slowly turned into something else, something deeper, something darker. Behind closed doors, in the quiet of their hidden labs, humans began to change. They were no longer willing to accept their fate as the galaxy's joke. It started with the scientists. They were the ones who first began to question everything they had been told. For years, they had listened to the mockery, read the reports from alien diplomats, and watched as their attempts at progress were laughed at. But now something inside them clicked. Maybe the aliens were wrong. Maybe humans had something they couldn't see. Something that, if they could tap into it, would change everything. It wasn't immediate. At first, there were just whispers. Quiet conversations in laboratories, in military halls, and in secret meetings. What if we could build something they never expected, someone had asked. What if we could surprise them? It wasn't a matter of vengeance. It wasn't about proving anything to the aliens, at least not at first. It was about something more profound. Humanity's need to survive, to prove that they were worth more than the insults they had endured for so long. The first step was the most difficult. Humanity had to overcome its own doubts. Could they really build a weapon or technology that could rival the aliens' advanced forces? Were they capable of creating something that could shift the balance of power in the universe? The answer came slowly but steadily. The key was understanding that they didn't need to be like the aliens. They didn't need the same kind of technology or weaponry. They needed something uniquely human: creativity, resourcefulness, and a drive to push forward against impossible odds. And so humanity began to experiment. They developed new forms of communication, ones the aliens couldn't intercept. They began studying ancient knowledge, long forgotten by the rest of the world, searching for answers in history that could help them shape the future. The resources they had once believed were too scarce were now abundant, and with them, they built their first piece of technology, something that would make the aliens question everything they thought they knew about Earth. The first test was simple: a small, unremarkable spacecraft, equipped with the most advanced technology humanity could muster. It wasn't large, it wasn't flashy, but it was powerful. It could move faster than any alien ship had ever seen, and it could travel undetected across vast stretches of space. This was the beginning of humanity's hidden strength. While the rest of the galaxy laughed, humans were preparing in silence. At first, the aliens didn't notice. Why would they? Earth was still just a small, unimportant planet. Their fleets continued to patrol the galaxy. Their leaders continued to mock humanity's efforts, convinced that the humans were no real threat. But as the first human spacecraft began to travel unnoticed into the alien territories, something began to change. The smallest acts of resistance started to build into something larger, something unstoppable. And it wasn't just technology. It was the people, the ordinary humans who had been pushed too far. Across Earth, in every corner of the world, there was a growing sense of unity. The insults that had been thrown at them for so long were no longer enough to keep them down. People began to believe in themselves, in their ability to rise above. The idea that they were too weak to fight back seemed laughable now. They were capable of far more than anyone had given them credit for. And then came the moment that would mark the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. A group of humans, armed with the new technology they had developed, launched a mission to an alien-controlled world. This wasn't a mission of war. It was a mission to make a statement, to show the galaxy that humans were no longer going to be the underdogs. When the aliens discovered what was happening, they were shocked. No one had ever expected humans to act like this, to rise up and take matters into their own hands. The ridicule, the mockery, the belief that humanity was too weak to ever challenge the galaxy, everything was being challenged. The aliens now faced the unimaginable. A species they had dismissed as nothing more than a fleeting curiosity had just become a force to be reckoned with. But the humans were just getting started. They knew they couldn't fight the entire galaxy at once, but they also knew that with each victory, with each small push against the established order, they were showing the universe that humanity's strength was not something to be underestimated. And with each passing day, Their confidence grew. They were no longer just survivors. They were becoming a force that would shape the future of the galaxy. In the quiet of their hidden labs, and in the hearts of every person who had ever been mocked, humanity found their true strength. It wasn't in their technology, though that was powerful. It was in something more, something the aliens had never expected: their courage. And with that courage, they would show the galaxy the true power of humanity. The moment the first signs of human strength were felt in the galaxy, the aliens couldn't ignore it anymore. What they thought was an isolated act, a fluke of sorts, quickly grew into something much more dangerous. The humans had begun to do something the aliens never thought possible. They were challenging their place in the cosmos. And as this challenge grew, so did humanity's strength. What started as an underestimation had now become a threat. Behind the closed doors of human command centers, whispers turned into plans. These weren't the reckless dreams of a few misguided individuals anymore. No, this was something grand, something larger than anyone had imagined. Humanity had discovered something far more powerful than advanced technology. They had discovered the power of unity. They had begun to come together. Every nation, every group of people on Earth rallying behind the idea that they could stand on equal footing with the rest of the universe. At first, it had been small acts, successful missions, technological breakthroughs, and simple victories in battle. But these were no longer isolated events. Now humanity's most brilliant minds had come together to create something that could truly shift the balance of power, an invention unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It wasn't a weapon of mass destruction, as some might have expected. Humanity had learned from their mistakes. They knew that to challenge the aliens, they didn't need sheer power alone. What they needed was innovation, something that could surpass the alien race's understanding of what was possible. And so, they built it. A device that could manipulate the very fabric of space itself. It could bend light, shift energy, and create invisible shields that would make alien weapons useless. To the aliens, this was nothing short of a revelation. As the humans perfected their new technology, the entire galaxy began to take notice. The once dismissed planet was now at the forefront of the most remarkable scientific achievement in recorded history. But it wasn't just the technology that was surprising. It was the people behind it. The ordinary men and women, the scientists, the soldiers, and even the farmers, who had come together to make this happen. They weren't just fighting for their world. They were fighting for their place in the universe. What the aliens didn't realize was that they had underestimated one of humanity's most powerful traits: the ability to adapt and innovate under pressure. While the aliens were comfortable in their established power, resting on their superiority, humans were pushing forward, constantly adapting, changing, and evolving. This constant state of growth and invention was something the aliens couldn't match. They relied on their technology, their size, their age, but the humans had something they couldn't comprehend: an unstoppable drive to improve, to push, further to challenge the impossible. One quiet evening, the humans launched their greatest test, a ship unlike any other, powered by their new technology. It was not the largest ship in the galaxy, nor the fastest, but it carried within it the potential to change everything. The ship was designed to enter alien-controlled space undetected, to slip past the alien defense systems without leaving a trace. It wasn't a weapon. It was something much more dangerous, a symbol. It was humanity's message to the galaxy, that they were no longer a species to be laughed at. As the ship entered the alien territories, the peaceful silence of the mission was broken by an alarm. The ship's presence was detected. But this was no ordinary detection. It was a system they had never seen before, something completely unknown. The aliens scrambled to react, their fleets ready to launch. But there was no way to stop it. The human ship slipped past their defenses like a shadow in the night, unseen and unheard. The first time the aliens realized they were no longer the supreme power in the galaxy was when they saw that ship disappear into their territories. It was a simple act, one ship, one mission, but it sent a clear message. The humans were no longer just an afterthought. They had found a way to be more than what they had ever been expected to be. They had tapped into something unique, something that no alien force had anticipated, the boundless potential of human creativity. It was in that moment that the aliens realized something else, something even more unsettling. The humans had not only adapted to their technology, they had surpassed it. The humans were no longer just imitating the advanced species of the galaxy. They were now leading the charge for something greater. Their greatest strength wasn't in their military power or their advanced technology. It was in their refusal to accept limitations. As the human fleet prepared for the next step, the galaxy began to understand the true weight of what was happening. The aliens had made a fatal mistake. They had underestimated humanity's ingenuity, resilience, and, most of all, their capacity for change. The time for mockery had passed. Humanity had finally found their true power, and it was only the beginning. The universe, once filled with voices of scorn and laughter, now stood at the edge of something new. Humanity's courage had sparked something incredible, something that would reverberate through the stars. The old order was about to be shaken, and nothing would ever be the same again. As the human ship slipped deeper into alien-controlled territory, something inside the aliens stirred, a growing sense of unease. They had always prided themselves on their superiority. They had laughed at Earth's attempts to reach the stars, dismissing humanity's resilience as nothing more than stubbornness. But as that small, unassuming ship continued to evade detection, something undeniable began to settle in. The galaxy's power dynamic was shifting, and it was no longer clear who stood at the top. The first shockwave of this new reality was the silence. There had been no grand declaration of war, no sudden burst of aggression. Instead, it was humanity's calm, calculated approach that was so unsettling. They had never been a species to charge in with overwhelming force. No, they were much smarter than that. They understood that true power came not from brute strength, but from ingenuity, from thinking outside the box. And that was exactly what they had done. Behind the scenes, humanity's scientists had perfected the technology that made their ships invisible to the most advanced alien sensors. Their engineers had created shields that absorbed and redirected energy, rendering the alien weapons ineffective. The human engineers weren't merely copying the aliens, they were outthinking them. And with each passing day, humanity grew bolder, more confident in their abilities. But it wasn't just technology that was changing the tide. It was humanity's way of thinking. Unlike the alien civilizations, which relied on their old ways of doing things, the humans were willing to adapt. They saw the galaxy as a puzzle, and with each piece they unlocked, the bigger picture became clearer. The galaxy wasn't a place for the strong to dominate. It was a place for the clever, the adaptable, and the bold. Humanity had always been told they were too small, too young, too primitive to ever change the galaxy's balance of power. But now, they were proving that the greatest strength of all lay in their ability to learn, to grow, and to evolve. The technology they had developed, the new inventions they were creating were all rooted in this fundamental belief. Humanity could achieve what no one else believed was possible. The first true test of humanity's strength came when a group of human explorers ventured into an alien territory known for its ruthless defenses. The mission wasn't one of conquest, but of discovery. They didn't come to fight, but to gather intelligence, to learn more about the alien civilizations that had mocked them for so long. It was an audacious move, one that even the bravest humans had doubted would succeed. But the explorers knew something the aliens didn't. They weren't the underdogs anymore. As the human ship glided into the heart of the alien stronghold, the aliens were caught off guard. They had never expected humanity to be capable of such subtlety, such stealth. They had anticipated an open challenge, a direct confrontation, but the humans had chosen a different path, a path that was far more dangerous, not just for the aliens, but for themselves. Because what they were about to discover in the heart of enemy territory would change everything. Deep within the alien stronghold, hidden away from prying eyes, the humans stumbled upon something extraordinary, an ancient alien artifact that, could potentially shift the entire balance of power in the galaxy. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't technology as they had understood it. No, it was something far more profound, something that the aliens had forgotten. This artifact held the knowledge of a civilization long gone, an advanced race whose technology had been lost to time. The artifact contained secrets about the very fabric of the universe itself. The implications were staggering. If humans could unlock the knowledge contained within the artifact, they would gain access to untold power, knowledge that could change the course of history. The aliens, for all their technological superiority, had overlooked the fact that humanity was not just a species of survivalists. They were explorers, constantly seeking to understand and to learn. They weren't just fighting to defend their home. They were fighting to uncover the secrets of the cosmos. As the human explorers returned to their ship, the artifact in tow, they knew they had crossed a line. The alien civilizations would not ignore this discovery. They would not let humanity walk away unscathed. But the humans didn't fear retaliation anymore. They had something far more powerful than the aliens realized: knowledge. And in the universe, knowledge was the greatest weapon of all. Back on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. The artifact had been secured. Humanity now had a key to the universe's most ancient mysteries. But it wasn't just the technology that made the aliens nervous. It was the realization that humans, once dismissed as an insignificant species, had unlocked something no one had expected. The galaxy's greatest power wasn't in its might, but in its capacity to adapt, to innovate, and to learn. The next stage of humanity's plan began to take shape. With the artifact in their possession, they began to decode its secrets, pushing the boundaries of their technology even further. The aliens for the first time realized that they had underestimated humanity's potential. They had mocked the humans for centuries, but now, humanity was in a position to turn the tables. The balance of power had shifted, and the aliens knew that they had to act quickly. The human spark of ingenuity had ignited something far larger than anyone could have imagined. And though they had once laughed at humanity's struggles, they were now beginning to wonder, had they made a grave mistake? Were the humans truly a species that could not be ignored anymore? The answers, as they would soon discover, were about to change the galaxy forever. As the discovery of the ancient alien artifact rippled through human civilization, the galaxy began to feel the effects of the shift in power. The hum of excitement and fear reverberated across both the human and alien worlds. On Earth, scientists worked tirelessly to unlock the artifact's secrets, pushing human knowledge and innovation to new heights. Meanwhile, the alien civilizations, who had once dismissed humanity as insignificant, now found themselves on edge. The balance of power that had remained untouched for centuries was no longer a certainty. Humanity was no longer content with simply surviving. They were learning, evolving, and adapting at an astonishing rate. The artifact had not only provided them with knowledge but also a deeper understanding of the universe, an understanding that allowed them to see the vast potential of their own future. With every day that passed, the humans grew bolder. They knew they could no longer sit back and wait to be attacked. They had the tools, the knowledge, and the unity to strike first. But as the humans prepared to make their next move, the aliens were not idle. They had underestimated the humans before, but now they understood just how dangerous that mistake had been. Every alien race had sent their brightest minds to study the newfound human technology, trying to find a way to counter the human advances. The war, however, was not to be fought with weapons of mass destruction or devastating armies. Instead, it was a battle of wits, of ingenuity, and of patience. The first sign of how the balance of power was shifting came when a large fleet of alien ships arrived in Earth's orbit. But it wasn't a military strike. No, the aliens had come to observe, to learn, and to find a way to halt humanity's growth. They had learned that the humans were not like the other species in the galaxy. They didn't rely on brute force or fear. They relied on their creativity, their ability to adapt, and their desire to improve. Inside the heart of Earth's command center, Humanity's leaders were watching the alien fleet from a distance. They weren't afraid. The humans now had something far more valuable than alien technology: time. Time to develop, time to understand, and time to prepare. The humans knew that the alien fleets would not stay passive forever, but they also knew that they could outthink their would-be invaders. It wasn't just about surviving anymore. It was about thriving. The humans were beginning to build something far more ambitious than they had initially planned. They were working on creating a new network of advanced ships, equipped with technology that had been derived from the secrets of the artifact. These ships were not just designed for defense. They were designed to challenge everything the aliens thought they knew about the cosmos. Each ship was a symbol of humanity's growing strength, an embodiment of their ability to turn the impossible into reality. As the alien fleet grew larger, tensions began to rise on both sides. Humanity's military leaders, backed by the brightest minds from every corner of the globe, prepared for what they knew was coming. They had to act before the aliens realized they were no longer the galaxy's dominant force. But instead of rushing into combat, the humans made a calculated decision. They would strike in a way the aliens wouldn't expect, not with overwhelming force but with precision and innovation. On Earth, a team of scientists had made an astonishing breakthrough. They had discovered a method of harnessing the energy from the stars themselves. With this technology, humanity could build vast energy shields capable of deflecting even the most advanced alien weaponry. More than that, it was a technology that could power entire fleets of ships, creating a vast army of resources to match the alien forces. The alien fleet, confident in their superior numbers and advanced technology, began to move closer to Earth's orbit, unaware of the trap humanity had carefully laid. The humans had learned long ago that the key to winning wasn't fighting the enemy head-on. It was to exploit their weaknesses, to outsmart them when they least expected it. As the alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere, they were met with a sight they hadn't anticipated. Human ships, powered by the energy harnessed from stars, moved into position with a precision and grace that left the alien commanders stunned. Humanity's fleet wasn't just defending their home. It was striking back with an intelligence that made the alien forces question their own superiority. For the first time, the alien fleets began to falter. The humans were no longer just a species trying to survive. They were a species actively shaping their destiny. Every alien commander, every strategist who had ever underestimated humanity's potential, was now faced with the undeniable truth. The humans were no longer just a small, insignificant species. They were a force to be reckoned with. As the battle raged on, the true power of humanity's spirit became clear. Their unity, their ingenuity, and their unshakable will to overcome any obstacle was their greatest weapon. The aliens, for all their technological superiority, had never seen anything like this before. The humans didn't just adapt. They reinvented everything they touched, from the way they fought to the way they saw the universe. The tables had turned. Humanity had not only survived the galaxy's greatest challenge, they had become the ones shaping the future. The alien fleets, once so sure of their dominance, were now questioning everything. Could they have made a mistake in underestimating humanity? Was it too late to undo the damage they had caused? These were the questions that echoed in the minds of every alien who had once mocked Earth. The universe, it seemed, was entering a new era, the era of humanity. As the final pieces of the puzzle fell into place, humanity's story was no longer one of survival. It was one of transformation. The galaxy, once a place of unyielding power and dominance by alien civilizations, was now a landscape in flux, shifting under the weight of humanity's newly discovered strength. The galaxy's old powers had underestimated the human race for far too long. They had mocked humanity for its smallness, its youth, its seeming lack of advanced technology. Now those same powers were left to wonder, had they made a fatal mistake? Back on Earth, the atmosphere was filled with a new sense of purpose. The people, once divided by borders and conflicts, had come together in a way no one had ever thought possible. The discovery of the artifact had sparked not just a scientific revolution, but a cultural one. The entire human race, now united under a single cause, had embraced the idea that their future wasn't dictated by the past. They could be the masters of their own fate, the architects of a new era. No longer would they be the underdogs, and humanity's technology evolved rapidly. Their ships and systems began to surpass the expectations of even their most ambitious minds. Earth's scientists worked in tandem with engineers to build machines and tools that would allow humans to take on challenges that once seemed impossible. They began constructing space stations capable of sustaining entire colonies, harnessing energy from distant stars to power entire worlds. Humanity's reach began to stretch far beyond Earth. The unexpected breakthrough came when the humans deciphered the final secrets of the alien artifact. It wasn't just a relic of the past. It was a guide to unlocking deeper knowledge of the universe. The artifact contained wisdom that went beyond technology. It revealed the nature of life itself, showing humanity how to manipulate the fabric of space and time. The implications were profound. With this knowledge, humans could reshape the very laws of physics, altering the course of their development in ways no one had ever imagined. And as the galaxy watched, humanity's first attempt to test this newfound power was nothing short of awe-inspiring. The human fleet, now equipped with the advanced technology from the artifact, prepared to undertake a mission that would prove once and for all that they were no longer to be underestimated. The goal was simple: show the universe that humanity was no longer a species to be mocked, but a force that could shape the future. The plan was set in motion. A small group of human ships, equipped with the ability to bend space itself, set off toward an ancient and powerful alien world. The mission was clear. They would reach the heart of the galaxy's oldest empire, a place where no human had ever ventured. With the alien artifact's secrets now in their grasp, the humans had the ability to make an unprecedented journey. They could manipulate time and space in ways that the alien civilizations had once thought impossible. As the human fleet ventured toward the distant star system, a sense of anticipation hung in the air. This wasn't just another expedition. It was a statement. It was humanity's declaration that they would no longer be confined by the old rules. They were explorers, not just of their world, but of the universe itself. The very fabric of reality seemed to bend under the weight of their ambition. The alien empires watched in stunned silence as the human ships slipped beyond the boundaries of known space. They had never seen anything like it. How could a species that had been so primitive, so small, achieve such feats? And how could the galaxy's most advanced civilizations not have known about the humans' potential all along? But for all their advances, the humans were not unprepared. They knew the risks. They knew that they were stepping into uncharted territory, where even the most advanced technology might not be enough to protect them. But that was what made them different. The humans weren't afraid to take risks. They had always faced the unknown, embraced it, and used it as a stepping stone to achieve greatness. And so, as the human ships began their journey through the deep reaches of space, the alien civilizations began to realize something they had long refused to accept. Humanity was not only a species capable of surviving, it was a species capable of thriving, of evolving, of becoming something greater than anyone had ever imagined. The universe, once dominated by the powerful and the ancient, was now a place where the unexpected could happen. And humanity, a species once mocked, once belittled, was now rewriting the rules of the game. The galaxy was no longer a place where the strong could take what they wanted without consequence. It was a place where intelligence, determination, and innovation would carry the day. And with that knowledge, humanity had stepped into a new era, one where they would no longer be the subject of ridicule, but the ones who would shape the destiny of the universe. The final lesson was clear. In the grand tapestry of the universe, it wasn't the size of the species or the strength of their weapons that determined their fate. It was the strength of their will, their courage to explore the unknown, and their unshakable belief in their own potential. And as humanity continued to unlock the mysteries of the galaxy, they knew one thing for certain: the future was theirs to shape.